Have you ever wondered how long PSA spends on your card before they send you back a grade? Have you ever thought that, well, they should have noticed this defect, or, this grade really seems haphazard, or maybe even sent a card back and received a different grade back? Well, I have the answers for you here. According to some new interviews and information we have, we can estimate how long PSA takes on each graded card before it sends you back, and you might not like what you hear. Alright, so let's start with this article at Forbes. It's titled, "The Sports Card Industry is Having a Tech Revolution and This Company Wants to Lead the Change." This was an article about PSA and its acquisition. If you scroll down to this paragraph right here, you learn something interesting. That PSA has more than 100 graders now, up from 44 at the time of the acquisition and 14 the division had for many years. That's 100. So that's your first point, 100 graders, okay? Which is really important. The second point, this guy, Retro Hoop Collectibles, has been tracking the number of cards PSA has been grading each week, and definitely they've increased the amount they've been grading. Now they're averaging about 200,000 per week. I'm not going to go into and watch his videos, but if you go through his records, they're about 200,000 a week now. Alright, so let's do some math here. So you've got 100 employees, right? Let's assume each one is working full-time. The regular full-time, which is 40 hours per week, right? So that comes out to 4,000 hours of work, right? And this is assuming the entire time they're being productive. They're not going to the bathroom. They're not chatting with their coworkers. This is 40 hours of productivity. This is a generous assumption, I think. And it assumes that nobody's ever out sick. This is like maximum productivity. Everyone's working all the time, right? And then you multiply that by 60, so we'll know how many minutes that is, right? And what you come out to is 240,000 minutes. So that is the amount of minutes every week they're spending grading, right? Now, you divide that by 200,000 cards. This will tell us how much time they're spending on each card, right? What do we get? 1.2 minutes per card. That's about 72 seconds per card. That doesn't seem like a lot of time. I mean, I get it. I can pick up a card, I don't know, this is one. And look, turn around in the back, I get some pretty quick centering. I don't think I'd be able to do, 55-45 centering or 60-40 centering off such a quick look. But, you get a feel for the card. You could get a quick scope. Not enough to where, there's 100% precision, I don't think so. But then you see something else. You go to this page on PSA. It gives you the process of each card. And what it tells you is right here. At number 10, grade check, after it gets the initial grade. Another PSA grader will review for grade accuracy. They'll change it if they think there needs to be a different grade. And then right here, it's important to understand that every card submitted to PSA gets evaluated by at least 2 graders. So just think about that. I don't know if they're spending an equal amount of time. Maybe the second person spends a lot less time because they just want to make sure there's nothing especially wrong with the grade. But assuming it's equal amount of time, that means each card is seen by 36 seconds per grader. 36 seconds with the first grader, 36 seconds with the second grader, 72 seconds total. I presume it's probably not an equal split. Maybe it's, 50 seconds with the first grader and, 25 seconds with the 22 seconds with the second grader. That's maybe more accurate, but even then, that's almost no time. So of course they're going to be screw-ups. Of course, if someone gets behind, I don't know, they were chatting with coworkers, I don't know, and gets behind and them out grading, they're going to go through even quicker. So this should probably highlight, sort of grading we're going to get back. As it is, grading is not a science, right? It's an I don't even know if it's an art, but it's definitely a subjective sort of activity that each person does. And even if they have sort of high-res images, right, they scan it before, and they're not actually looking at the physical card, that doesn't mean they're spending that much time. And if you're spending, right now, $50 is the lowest, but with high-end cards, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to grade a card. It doesn't seem like spending a minute, does the card really that much justice, especially with the amount you're paying. I get when you're, before in the bulk tier, when you're spending $10 per card, it didn't feel as bad if they just spent that amount of time. Because if you got a bad grade or something was wrong, you could resubmit it. And it wasn't that much to get a second look. Still $10 for 1 minute of grading seems pretty expensive. It's about $600 per hour of grading, but obviously there are other parts in the grading process. They go and there's a part where they have to catalog it. There's a part where they do the history with it, where they have to value it, right? The intake. That obviously you're not just paying for the guy to look at it and grade it, or the woman. But I will say that it should color your perspective about how carefully your grade is actually when you're getting it back after a year and a half, and they only spent a minute looking at it. It should probably color how much credibility you give that grader, whether you send it back for a second look. whether it's the end-all be-all, how much we as a hobby give the credibility of the grader. It's just something to think about. So if you like some of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I'm running a collecting survey for Pokemon collecting. You can check my channel, and I'm giving away $50 to a random person that takes a survey, if that's up your alley. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.